Hello everyone, Tuesday, November the 28th. So we continue as we get near to the end of November. Next Sunday is the first Sunday of Advent. We continue with the book of Daniel. King Nebuchadnezzar summoned the sages of Babylon and said, I have had such a dream that my spirit is troubled by the desire to understand it. So there's a lot that's left out in this lengthy first reading. And it's helpful to know just briefly. So tell me the dream and I shall know that you can give me its interpretation. So the Chaldeans, the wizards and so on, they can't do it. The king won't tell them the dream. He wants them to tell him what he dreamed about and then to give the interpretation. This is impossible. But if they can't do it, he's going to kill them all. He's going to wipe them all out. So they're desperate because they say, well, you're asking the impossible. Nobody can read minds. There's no creature that can read minds. So then Daniel comes in. So Daniel actually preserves all their lives. And this is something that's really important to know. It's not his primary purpose. His primary purpose is being faithful to God and even being of service to the king, even while he's hostage or in captivity. But he does save all of these magicians and wizards. Daniel, and you think, now this is what we would call a manifestation of prestige, not worldly prestige, but prestige as a virtue, so that when you do your work well, others think well of you in order that they would be drawn closer to God. Rather than think you're so great and it's all about you acquiring all these gifts on your own. So I want to be like you type of thing. No, we are conduits of God's grace. So Daniel has true prestige because of his integrity, all his virtues and so on. He's not clamoring after power. He's not sucking up to the king at all, but he knows how to deal with the king, right? So he uses all the proper addresses and so on. So he comes in and of course Daniel can tell the king what he's dreamed and then the interpretation, and makes it clear that it's not me, but it's the true God of heaven and earth, the God of the Jews, but who's the God of everybody. And Daniel can do this because he has been faithful to what was read yesterday, to the sacrifices he's made in order to be faithful to God. So he's shown the Lord that he is desirous to be faithful. And as a result of this, God rewards him and his friends with many, many gifts. So he does the interpretation and so on. And then at the end, we don't get to this part. It's actually one of the things that's taken out of this reading is, and it's taken out of tomorrow's. So as I said, this is a long reading. It's just not included in this particular section. That Daniel will be made a very high official in the Babylonian government, but he never uses this for his own aggrandizement. And he's always faithful to the Lord. So it's a real example for us, for politicians, for priests, for everybody really, that the more we have, the more we should be conscious about the sacrifices and the acts of atonement we make to the Lord to keep us grounded, balanced. Okay, over to the gospel. When some were speaking about the temple, how it was adorned with beautiful stones and gifts dedicated to God, Jesus said, as for these things that you see, the days are coming when not one stone will be left upon another, all will be thrown down. And then, of course, they want to, when will this happen, right? When's the end of the world? And Jesus said, basically, I'm not going to tell you the date. What I'm going to tell you is to be ready. So all of his instruction, all of his guidance is about being ready. So, okay. So it's, the time is here, do not go after them. These are just bits and pieces that I'm reading here. But first, but the end will not follow immediately. Nation will rise against nation, and there will be great earthquakes and famines, and there will be dreadful portents and great signs in heaven. So again, Jesus' emphasis is on readiness, of being like the watchman of the Old Testament. And this is what we need to keep in mind. So, it's good to be attentive to the signs, but every age has seen these kinds of things, right? So when will it actually sort of all come together and rise to a certain level and the Antichrist will be on the earth, and there will be horrible, savage, brutal murders, killings of those who are faithful to the Lord. There'll be a separation of the sheep from the goats. Who knows when it'll be? It's up to God. It's God's own timing. But you and I, no matter if we see Jesus at the particular judgment or at the general judgment at the end of the world, doesn't really matter, right? All that matters is that we're ready. So, spiritual program, way of life that you need to be faithful to, so that you're cultivating a sense of vigilance and readiness, keeping your relationship with the Lord vital, dynamic, life-giving, reception of the sacraments, and so on. This is the way you'll be ready. God bless you.